And there we go. Yes, we got the pictures and everything else. I was just sort of filming a few things and so on and so forth. Shit, where's the controls? There we go. So yeah, greetings to everyone in them YouTubes or Twitches and whatnot else. And yeah, some interesting information came from the forums. You know, once in a while you get some interesting stuff from it as well. So yeah, let's see. Right. Well, feel free to post questions and you know, whatever you want to ask yours truly. I'll try to keep up with the chats and all that stuff. But well, obviously the title of the stream itself is gonna be the topic. Well, at least in general sense. So let me just position the ship and things and film a few things. And well, yeah, during this whole stream, I'm probably gonna basically be, you know, looking at a couple of things about the fleet carrier and just filming things as I do my typical thing about fleet carriers. So let's begin. Ray, let's see. How am I feeling? Just fine and dandy. Hooked on coffee and ready to go. Warhund, let's see. Hello there to you as well. And Renek, what do we got? Question: do you have enough quas to see this though? Yes, I've got plenty. I got plenty. Don't worry. It's all good. It's all good. Actually, one more thing I need to change. Jocks. Yeah, you might see the overlays and whatnot else, at least relatively who's speaking and so on and so forth. So that's kind of a thing. But regardless, let's see. There was a forum thing. Let me just get it on screen in just a bit. Let's see. Let's just do a sort of cut down version. And that's the one. Here we go. So okay, I probably should expand it. Right, so here we go. So a wonderful fellow from the forums decided that, yeah, it's time to, you know, showcase amazing statistics here. And the guy managed to get, you know, let's see, the current balance, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, basically the debt threshold. So yeah, inform us all about the debt threshold. And that threshold is 300 million. Now, developers did say, well, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but that, if you incur a huge debt, your ship is going to be automatically set for, forced decommissioning. Yeah, I'd say forced decommissioning, essentially, it was. Unless, of course, you pay up and so on and so forth. So, the interesting side note in general is that 300 million, in the general sense of Elite Dangerous, right, before the fleet carriers, yeah, that number sounds pretty large, right? It's basically 1.5 cutters, so that's quite a lot. That, in that sense, it would be true. But in the sense of fleet carriers, well, shall I tell you a little bit about the percentages here? And Glass Commander, hey, thanks. Well, hello to you as well, and everyone else in the Twitch. Yes, hello. Right. So let's do a simple calculation, right? Can I get a fucking calculator on screen right now? Give me a moment. Calculator. Okay. Let's see. Can I get the calculator? Yes, I can. I think I can get the calculator on the screen. No. God damn it. Okay, Google Calculator, come to the rescue then in that case, if I can do the browser source. Let's just do the wonderful calculator things. Yes. That should be the thing. Yes. Yes. Okay, so we got a relatively simple calculator, right? So 300... God damn it. Just... Okay, fine. I'm gonna type it, right? So 300 million, right? So I'm just gonna go with the, millions, right? Because, yeah... Makes sense. Divided by 5 billion. And remember, since you can buy more shit on your fleet carriers, right? The price would increase and thus the percentage decrease. So this is the best case scenario. 5 billion, when you buy the fleet carrier, this is the percentage that you're gonna get for decommission, before it gets decommissioned. 6%. Right? So if you incur 6% of debt of the fucking thing that you bought already, it's gonna be taken away. 6% of debt. That's literally a rebuy of a ship. So let's say a rebuy of a ship is about, it was 5%, right? So it's slightly more than a rebuy of a ship, but regardless. So let's say you're gonna lose, let's say, an Anaconda, right? The ship that I have right here, right? Whoops, wrong buttons. So my rebuy on this Anaconda is 8 million, right? That's 5% of the ship's total cost at this current state, right? And yeah, 8 million is basically, losing 8 million is nothing, right? And losing that percentage of the ship is really nothing, and so easy to do. More importantly, right? That it doesn't make sense. It purely doesn't make sense. But okay, hey, Elite Dangerous developers really seem that, hey, 300 million is a large lump sum, right? But you see, the interesting thing is that developers conveniently forget the fact that we're talking about a massively expensive ship, 5 billion alone, right? So 5 billion is already a massive amount of credits, and, well, unprecedented for Elite Dangerous. And 300 pales in comparison, and the word huge doesn't even come close to that 5 billion, let alone 40 plus billion to deck it fully out. Those of you that didn't perhaps know, well, yeah, if you, let's say, fleet carrier management, I'll show you. So yeah, let's say you have enough cash, right, let's see. So buy a refuel station, 40 million. That's let's see, repair stations, that'd be 58 million. Armories, 95 million. Redemption offices, essentially being able to give in bounties and combat bonds and whatnot else, is 150 million. Shipyard is 520 million. So already you can see that if you lose more than basically a purchase of a shipyard, or better yet, I think it was outfitting, that's it. We're putting your ship up for sale because that's too much. Sense? And these things all pile up, and obviously secure warehouse, the black market is 165 million, totaling in it was 6 billion and 300 million or something like that for the total price of buying all this. Now, of course, when you buy, let's say, I don't know, shipyard or outfitting, right? When you buy those two things, you are able to buy packages for them. Now, of course, I could buy them. Let's see, what was my current balance? Shit. Let me check. My current balance is, okay, it's 400. I'm not gonna buy them either, because I don't care about them. I don't really need them for testing, because fuck them anyways. There are folks that have more cash or willingness to actually employ that. But anyways, you are able to buy packages. A package of, that was modules and ships, for example. I think it was the Lakon Advanced series or whatnot else. What was it? The package, essentially. You get Type 6, Type 7, and Type 9. 3 of each ship, if I remember correctly, and that package cost quite a bit. So there are multiple packages like those, and when you buy every package out there, right, for your ship, so to deck it out completely, it is literally 40 fucking billion, or 40 plus fucking billion. And when you actually can spend this much cash on a mega ship, I mean fleet carrier, right? When you actually can do that, it's just, what is 300 million, right? How can that, in any sense of the word, be considered huge when you actually allow players to, or rather you have designed that upmost, top of the line, whatnot else, fully decked out fucking thing can just go and spend 40 plus billion. 300 million, oh, actually, you know what, let me calculate this real quick, because this is bullshit. Right, so let's see, 300 divided by 4,300. Wait, no, that's fucking, what am I doing? I use calculator, no good, yes? There we go, 43. That's 0.06%. Right? That's 0.06%. Oh, okay, 0.7%. Fine, if you want to round it up a little bit. Like that is the total percentage of money that you need to lose before you basically just have it up for decommissioning, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. So that is one thing. Now there's another thing, obviously, and that other thing, obviously, is the fact that at the best of times, let's see, so fully undecked ship is gonna have 10 million, right? So 10 million upkeep a week. Before you reach that 300, right? You're gonna spend obviously 30 weeks, which is not even a year, right? Let me put this in perspective. if, say, you want to go on a vacation, right, and you actually sell everything that you have on the mega ship and just revert it to basically the stock fleet carrier. Sorry, I constantly keep calling them mega ships because, well, realistically they are. But regardless, right? If you decide, oh, I'm gonna go on a vacation, right, from this second job that the developers want me to have, you're literally gonna be given 30 weeks. Obviously, not counting not counting the current balance that you have in it. So you have a secure quote unquote buffer in some way or what else of 30 weeks at best of times. Worst of times, let's say you've spent all the money on the upgrades and you wanted everything on your mega ship, fleet carrier. And that is 147 million a week for upkeep. That's basically 2 weeks. Well, 3 weeks technically, right? So that's 3 weeks of buffer that you have extra, right? Beyond your own money. 3 weeks or 30 weeks. That's the range you got, right? What? It's beyond stupidity. Moaning Yamiks. Well, yes. I mean, there's the time to do so. How am I doing? Well, I'm doing fine and dandy, at least for today, and so on and so forth. So hopefully you guys are also baffled and, well, at least here to listen to a little bit of rhetoric that I have. Actually, I could turn up the music, or rather, I could turn music on, so might as well do that, actually. Give me a moment. So to clear that dead air a little bit, you know. There we go. And we got a little bit of background music, so there we go. So yeah. It's a fucking mess, man. It's purely just a fucking mess. I don't know really what else to say about the fleet carriers. I mean, the upkeep is generally the biggest fucking price about the fleet carriers. Okay, fine, the absurd levels of fucking purchasing, right? The levels of the goddamn 40 plus billion that you can actually, or rather, developers have designed that somebody would be able to spend on them, right? Going from 5 billion to literally fucking 50 almost. It's 43 billion or so, right? But it's 43 fucking billion. And I'm literally lost for words in some ways. But okay, fine, fuck it. You know, whatever. If you want that super end game goal, you want that super big fucking trophy in a game to grind for, like some games usually have, right? Like, kill 10,000 or over 9,001 enemies, right? In a game that, you know, takes shit ton of time to kill one enemy, right? That sort of a goal is, okay, acceptable, right? Fuck it. Developers just put that in for shits and giggles completely, like. But the thing is, it's more of an achievement, usually, than an actual gameplay sort of altering and affecting feature. But okay, fine. If, let's say, if you end up desiring just something completely fucking insane and fuck it, something that people could grind for and, you know, potentially get some use out of it as well. Alright, put it in. But we're basically just circling back constantly to my biggest issue. Just the biggest issue that is the motherfucking upkeep. The mental gymnastics, or rather the mental manipulation that the developers are trying to use on you. And with the decommissioning price, or rather the threshold being so low. Yeah, I don't know how, and like literally I don't know how anyone can really defend the fucking upkeep, really. But anyways, Dutton, well, you're probably wanting to speak, so hey, welcome.
Hey, welcome everyone, and good evening or afternoon, however it's for you. I'm only doing a quick jump in and visit here because I actually have to do something, but I would just quickly share my opinion, or opinion is the wrong word, on the whole thing. So yesterday I pulled the trigger and sold almost all of my assets and got myself a fleet carrier in the beta just to have this done.
I mean, it's beta, so fuck it.
Yeah.
Just test it, you know?
Test it. So if you want to visit it, it's in Vespa M4. And the automatically generated ID, I didn't choose that. The ID is POO, P-O-O. So I aptly named it. And you can sell bio-waste at 10 times the galactic average there, if you want to.
Mine is named slightly better, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, the polished turd is the official name for the carrier.
Oh my.
And yeah, and I did this just as the last step, because after doing the first jump and doing a little bit of tomfoolery with this thing and looking what's offered, I was just sitting there, and the thing is, it wasn't that I was disappointed or that I was underwhelmed. It was more like that I got zero emotion from that. It did absolutely nothing for me. You buy this thing, you can set up a little bit of the market, you can install a shipyard, but none of these things are stuff that matters in any way. If you want to buy ships, you go to a station. Other players do this as well. The only thing you can reasonably control on this thing is the market.
It was just an alert. I'll read that message later, but really thank you very much, and carry on, Dutton.
Yeah, and thing is, I don't see what I want to do with these things as they have been put into the beta. I had some ideas what you could do with them if they weren't so tied down and limited. But in the current state, they look nice. The audio work on the jump is amazing. The jump sequence could maybe use a little bit of polishing. The effects
I mean, this is already spruced up from the original, so I don't mind it. It's all good for me. Realistically speaking, Elite is just reusing assets, which is fine.
Yeah. But apart from that, I don't see what I want to do in big capital letters. Want to do with them. There is nothing there that inspires me. So that's my personal opinion on that.
Yeah, their purpose is really interesting, because anything you can guarantee, like literally guarantee one thing about fleet carriers: everything on them except for commodity market is going to be way more expensive than anything else, or at the best of cases the same as the normal prices. So why visit them for anything but the commodity markets if you're an outsider? Or you hope that the carrier perhaps has shipyard with some ships, or commodities, I mean not commodities but modules. Those literally are the three reasons why would you really just kind of go to the fleet carriers. It's just they lack functionality, and they are really just there as a dangly bit for everyone to grind for. That's the main purpose for them. The fact that we had actually any sort of a functionality out of them is sort of a surprise, frankly. It's just there to force people to grind, or rather incentivize people that, oh no, after getting a cutter or every ship in the game even, oh, there is plenty more to grind, so grind, come on. And Colomino, right, so thank you very much for that wonderful contribution there. Really appreciate that tip there. Compromise for fleet carriers, no upkeep on the carrier, but no upkeep on all small ships. No. Only reason they have upkeep is because the fact that the carriers are persistent across all instances. That has literally nothing to do with it. The thing is, often, well, generally speaking, I try to talk about game design. I try to, sort of water down the way things are designed and how they are meant to work, right? And explain it to you the best I can, oftentimes. Because the thing is, those people that are just, casual players that just simply play games and, find them fun or not fun and so on and so forth, and don't really care why that happens. I try to explain those folk how the game is designed and how it tries to impact people and what is the just general idea behind making something look or do specific things. And the upkeep in this case is just literally there for... Jesus. I understand. Oh god, thank you very much for that contribution as well. Thanks for watching. Yes. So upkeep essentially is there for just one thing and one thing alone. Punishment. And rather the mental gymnastics that has to be done. Because it doesn't matter if the upkeep is 1 credit, 10 credits, 1 million, 10 million, fucking billion. Of course, the prices will vary how it's gonna impact people's perception right away. But the thing is, you must remember that upkeep, essentially a weekly drain, and that is a weekly. It might as well be a daily, or maybe even a monthly, or maybe a yearly, right? Well, one payment or something like that. It doesn't matter really how big is it. It's designed to do one thing. Remind you that if you don't play the game, you're gonna lose something. And eventually, if you don't play for long enough, well, you perhaps, better go check the game, log back in, and check whether or not your balance is still okay. Say what you will, but this is a common thing, often with many games. As a matter of fact, you yourself probably can already sort of remember these sorts of applications being forced onto you. Let's say, take your favorite free-to-play game. Hopefully, most of you play at least some kind of a free-to-play game or have played it. Have you ever had that feeling of, oh, well, I should log on and play a few matches to get that daily bonus? Well, that's a positive reinforcement that a lot of people have, right? You constantly remember that every day there's something new to do, right? And for, once you do it, you can put the game away and go play something else. But it's always that game that you always play at least a little bit a day, right? And that is the daily login bonus or XP bonus for the first fight or something like that. So that is a positive reinforcement that is given to you. That reminds you that you probably should log in and you get a bonus for just playing a little bit, right? Elite Dangerous, on the other hand, have taken the opposite route in the same manner. They have taken the weekly server tick, in which case, so every week Elite Dangerous has this server update where they basically change the BGS and so on and so forth. Well, little things, essentially. Some of them tend to be updated more often than not, but, regardless, it's mostly weekly, right? And Elite Dangerous takes a negative reinforcement. They're basically saying, no, if you don't log in, you're not gonna get a bonus. What you're gonna not get is secure thinking process or security in your mind or just calm mind about the fact that your finances are okay. If you don't log in and don't check your balance and how things are progressing, well, we might take away your ship. We might take away, a lot of that investment that you have. And remember, the longer you have the fucking fleet carrier, the lower the price of its, selling will be. those that don't know, well, let me just show you what happens if, well, basically it's a depreciation, whatever you want to call it, right? Depreciation of a megaship is a thing as well. So if you buy a fleet carrier and decide in the same day, oh fuck, I made a mistake, I need to sell it, you get back 95% of your 5 billion. As a matter of fact, in beta, it seems to be a wrong number because I see a 4 billion instead of, what was it, 5% of 5 billion. Oh, Jesus, goddamn fucker. That'd be 4 billion 75 million, 750 million. So you lose 250 million if you sell it on the same day. If you wait more than a day, you lose 20%. If you wait 2 weeks up to a month, you lose 40%. 1 month, after 1 month, it's literally half of the fucking price. I mean, cars don't depreciate this quickly. I don't know about you, but cars don't depreciate this quickly. I mean, okay, maybe there is a car that has done that in, you know, at some point or whatnot else, I don't know, probably some fucking Fiat or something. But regardless, you know,
well,
yeah.
Yeah, the depreciation normally goes slower the higher value the good. Like, I'm a physicist working in the lab, and we have a lot of very expensive instruments there. And these things are very expensive and they depreciate only very slowly, like over decades. Like the spectrum analyzers we have, they are like 22, 25 years old. Some of them we use in the lab. And if we sold them on the refurbished market or on the used market, we would still get like 60, 70% of the original price for them.
Yeah, the point is that usually you don't see quite that massive depreciation speed on many things. A car is a great example for ships in space because they're, well, very similar, you know, vehicles essentially. So that's why I use that comparison. But yeah, I mean, for example, I know that lathes, you know, the woodworking or metalworking lathes, those things basically don't depreciate almost at all. Right? Depends, of course, but well, there is always a little bit of it, and sure, there are cars that actually grow in price over a year for collectors and sort of. I mean, that's beside the point. The thing is, because you know, the longer you have, the more quote unquote worth it is to keep it alive, and that constant nagging, it's designed to constantly nag you and remind you that, oh, if you fail paying up now, it's gonna be worse than if you didn't pay yesterday, and it's gonna be worse the longer it goes. Up until, of course, 33%, 66% loss overall. Right? It's 66% loss of the price. Hold on, you get back 1 billion and 600 million, basically. From that original 5 billion. Of course, well, I'm not sure if it counts in the selling of integrated modules and all that stuff. So if that depreciates as well, I mean, from 40 something billion you lose, you know, the 66%. That's insane. Of course, I highly doubt that that's the case. I think that selling modules don't have the same depreciation as the ship itself. But regardless, the point is, it's insane. And the better part is, you know, there's this one wonderful sentence. Oh wait, no, 2 sentences below as well. Right? It's even worse. Right? If you thought that this is bad and horrible, this is even worse. Because let me read this. The value is further reduced by the carrier's distance from the nearest carrier construction dock. It is recommended that owners submit the decommissioning request in a fleet carrier vendor system. I mean, they don't list values, but I have a very very sneaky suspicion here that it can go up to a 0. Like literally, you lose all of your money if you're not next to, their distribution center. Okay, right. Right. Some of you might already say in the chats and what else, or comments and so on and so forth, saying that they have to get the fleet carrier back to the bubble if you're out there in the black, and so on and so forth, right? They have to get it back, but you're using game logic to a game design. Hopefully you're not making that mistake and you're smart, okay? By which I mean that sentence is complete stupidity. There you go.
Yeah.
Don't ever apply game logic as to, oh, but there are people working on it. Oh, but there are things happening. No. Everything goes down to just simply making sure that a player does something specific. There you go.
One
Carry on,
of the weirdest design decisions, in my opinion, is the fact that you need a shipyard installed so that you can transfer your ships onto this thing. My initial idea when I read about fleet carriers was that, okay, you get 16 landing pads, like 16 hangars, and each of them provides storage space for one of your ships. Okay, I can live with that. That's perfectly fine. This makes sense. How it's now implemented, that you need a shipyard installed so that you can store your ships, and that the amount of pads on the carrier, the number of the pads has no relation whatsoever to the number of ships you can actually store. They could have just give the carrier a single large size pad, and you would have exactly the same functionality. Where's the logic in that?
There doesn't need to be. Again, my personal sort of belief is that basically they had this idea: we need a big megaship to be given to the players as a wow factor, so people start playing the game again, or everyone makes news. They don't care about whether or not the news is going to be, positive or negative, but here we are. Regardless, the funny thing about all of that is that also, they didn't really know what to do with these things. I mean, I basically heard that back in Frontier Expo when they announced these things, it was intended to be... developers also do mention that originally this was intended to be a part of Squadron thing. Okay, that would have made a bit more sense, but even so, it's just that no one seems to know what this is supposed to do or how it's supposed to work. All they know is that it's a big thing and it basically has to become the next big milestone in the game and the end game goal, a credit sync. And that's it. Everything else is secondary. Every other idea that they put on it is literally secondary, and excuses that they put forth are, excuses and nothing else. So, yeah, I wouldn't be really surprised if it literally was just designed, okay, we need a megaship, we give players the megaship, it's gonna cost a lot of cash, so people grind, and that's job done, let's go to the pub. Yep, makes sense. Oh, wait, we need to design, fuck it, interns, come and give them some things to do, fuck it, we're off to pub. That's how I fucking see. That's how I fucking see these things oftentimes, as a matter of fact. Of course, I'm exaggerating, of course. But it's just, I don't know. It's just heart-wrenchingly horrible to just witness the results. And actually, now that I think of it, all right, those of you that actually have played in beta, right? Imagine, this is literally the best they could do within 2 years. 2.5 years. This is the level of coding. This is the level of stability. This is the level of competence they have put forth. essentially. I can't imagine that fleet carriers, as they were supposed to be, well, basically released last year's at the end of the last year, right? Imagine how horrible that would have been. I mean, clearly we already had massive issues when this thing started, right? Too many fleet carriers in one system, it immediately crashes things. Pure and simple. It's just... is beta really just QA version of the game? It's usually when you have a game, right? Usually when you see a beta for a game, right? You see developers actually releasing things and, you know, testing small bugs and, you know, basically polishing the game. This, in comparison, seems like a fucking alpha test. Hey, we need server testing. Hey, we need to test features whether or not they even work in the first place. Because guess what? Commodity market is broken. I mean, selling in commodity market works. Buying in commodity market only works. I mean, if you're a mega ship, fleet carrier's owner, right? Putting a buy order on your mega ship only works if you're buying in stocks of less than, I think it was less than 1,000 that we tested. If you have more than 1,000 demand, it won't allow to sell to it. How stupid is that? And the fact that you can't, just purely can't. Actually, do I have any cargo on me? Oh, I do have some hydrogen fuel. I can show you, actually. Let's see if I can actually remember how to fucking do this stuff. Right, so commodity market carrier management. There we go. Commodity market markets. Can I put in... what the fuck did I had? I had... So the thing is, as far as we tested, you are not able to put buy and sell order for one item. Or for the same item, basically. You gotta keep saying megaships. Alright, Revco. Alright, let's call them megaships like they are. Really, right? So wait, I had... What the fuck did I even had? I had hydrogen fuel, right? So I should be able to sell it. Or rather... Oh god, hey! The monetizer? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, thank you for subscribing there on the Twitch side. Really appreciate it. I don't know why I'm so chipper today. I'm in better spirits. Probably because people are watching videos and, you know, views are coming in and subscribers amounts are going up. And perhaps that's why. But Elite is a shit show. It's a true fucking shit show right now. It's amazing. And it's beta, right? But realistically speaking, one thing I can promise you right now is that developers probably won't change the upkeep at all. I mean, they might reduce the values. But that is the problem with a lot of folks. They are satisfied, purely satisfied with reduced numbers. If they see upkeep, only 1 credit a day, they're gonna be satisfied, right? How many of you would be satisfied if the upkeep a day would be 1 credit, right? That's nothing. But that's not the point of the upkeep. It doesn't matter what number they put on it. Yes, it will be easier to maintain and it's also neglectful and so on and so forth. It's almost meaningless at that point, right? But it's not gonna be. They're gonna try and make it on, or at least put it on some sort of a border that you might not notice it, or rather the bigger players who are most vocal won't notice that it affects your brain. But for rest of us, who actually stop, look at the thing, analyze it, then make conclusions from it, you know, try to be at least critical about it, whether or not it does things, right? And sort of look at these things just in a more critical sense. And, well, it doesn't change anything. If it's 1 credit, or if it's 1,000, a billion, a million, what does it matter, right? The fucking upkeep is meant to do just one thing and one thing alone. Oh, maybe not one thing, but a few things. And that's just all going back to the fucking manipulation of your psyche, essentially. And frankly, I don't want to think of Elite Dangerous as a need to log in to check my shit and if the game hasn't taken all my shit away. Right? I much rather return to Elite Dangerous thinking, oh, if I log in, well, hey, if I play for an hour, I might actually get some good credits or good things, right? That sounds like a way fucking better prospect. And also, Joe Blow, not gonna be angry. The thing is, a pure rage is something that is momentary. But this is more than that. If you want just pure rage and somebody squealing in the microphone, I'm not gonna do that. Sorry. I know people want, just that pure emotion and so on and so forth, which is entertaining oftentimes, but when the issue becomes even worse than anything else, it's just that silent rage, that absolute disgust and disappointment, right? That in my mind and in my eyes is actually more harder hitting than any constant fucking babbling. So
may I quickly share my assessment on the amount of
Hasbango, thanks for the raid there, really appreciate it. And everyone who doesn't know Hasbango, he's a PvP what people, or no way, Care Bears would call fucking psychopathic piece of shit and whatnot else, and so on and so forth. So he does PvP. He streams too. So a shout out to you. Love you too. Anyways, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So my assessment on the amount of programming that went into these things. So let's assume the least effort required. The first problem you have is that you have to dynamically place locations in Super Cruise where people can drop into. Was there already something in the game that did this? Yes, there was. Signal sources. So if I had to do this, I would just base the carrier spawn points on a new type of signal source and add one if statement to change the rendering and the display of a signal source as a carrier. It's one if statement. If you drop into this new kind of signal source, you have an additional new code path to spawn models. So instead of a debris field or pirates or whatever, you spawn the carrier and the NPCs in there. The code for spawning models is old. I mean, it happens every time you drop out of Super Cruise anywhere. So that's maybe 20 lines of code. The hyperspace warp, the capital class warp animation was already in place. It's exactly the same as for the capital ships. So you just have to call this animation trigger with a pointer to the fleet carrier model. And then you have the fleet carrier model itself, which is mostly something for the arts team, and then the preparation and cooldown sequences, the animations that are played there. All in all, with, say, a team of, let us be 5 people, I'm pretty sure you could implement the whole thing, which you are seeing right now, in under 4 weeks. A UI, a user interface, and subtracting and adding to your credits and setting a few flags on what's available is done in maybe 1 day if you have a good UI system, 1 week if it's a bad UI system, and you have a dedicated person on that. So we have been waiting 3 years. This whole thing feels very cobbled together with very few features, only a capital class ship animation, and otherwise the least effort to spawn these things, which are signal sources. And if you look into a system where a carrier is jumping in, there will appear a new signal source you can drop into and wait for the carrier to arrive. So I'm pretty sure they did just that. So my assessment, a team of 5 people, about 1 month of work, that's what's actually in there in the fleet carriers.
I don't know what really to say. It definitely feels cobbled together. Right, so a couple of things before we continue. Right, JG Lost, thanks for subscribing there on Twitch. Really appreciate it. And everyone from the Exegius and Has Mango's side, welcome indeed. So, we have actually the one and only Exegius as well here. So, what's up?
Good afternoon. Good morning, my buddy. How are you? Or I guess afternoon for you, right?
It's 17:46 o'clock for me. 17 o'clock.
Okay. I guess I didn't realize you were that far ahead of UTC. What are you, 3 hours ahead of UTC?
I
then?
am GM. No, I'm UTC plus 2. UTC
Plus 2. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, I just saw you streaming. Thought I'd stop by and just say a quick. I'm not going to stay long. Honestly, I'm saving my voice for the 4 hours of streaming I've got planned for myself this afternoon. But thought I'd just pop in and say a quick hi and see what you guys are up to. See, you've got quite the crowd at the moment. Seems everybody's quite interested in all of this goings on around fleet carriers, huh?
I'm basically just discussing the fact, or rather, I started the stream with the whole decommissioning is 300 million, and that is apparently huge by developer standards. When at the same time, developers themselves are introducing a feature for which that decommissioning cost is going to be 300 million. That in general you can spend 43 was it billion? 43 billion credits into
42 and change for the whole thing. Yeah.
To fully deck out, or rather to fully just completely deck it out, right? Just 40 plus
if you want,
billion.
You want the whole
and the decommissioning is huge.
At 300 million.
Okay, so by their own words, then in that case, what constitutes 40 billion? Absolutely insanely stupid levels of garbage, or what?
Well, the other thing, I don't want to spoil too many of the points we'll talk about, or I'll talk about later, but when we look at the list of players who own, who have credits, right? When you look at the breakdown, and this is from Inara, right? So this isn't the whole game, but
just have an alert. I'll talk about that later, but thank you very much. Carry on.
Yeah. So the when you look at the numbers that we got from Inara, less than 1.2% of players have more than 10 billion, and I believe that's assets, not just credits. Assets.
Yeah, that's total assets. Because I had 4.2 billion assets and only like 700 million in cash.
Yeah. So less than 0.3% have more than 20 billion. So what percentage can even get close? I mean, what percentage have 42 billion? I mean, it's got to be not percentage. It's got to be like 10 people.
2.8%, my friend. 2.8%. Those that don't know, 2.8% comes basically from developers telling us that only 2.8% of people use board flipping back in the day, which is already a suspect. But regardless, that's a different topic. It's basically at this point a meme.
Yes. Oh, okay. By the way, just briefly, I gotta say, your stream freaked me out. I've got it on my second monitor. I glanced over, and the way that your ship is positioned with the planet in the background, for a brief moment, it looked like you were actually landed on an atmospheric planet. And so for a brief moment, I was like, "What the fuck is he streaming?" Right? So sorry. That and how cool that.
Hey, I know how to pick my angles. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, that's a beautiful one, actually. Yeah, I put mine right now at Hollow, and I've gotten some really cool of it, or because that orbits so damn fast, right? Some really cool video
you're putting
of it orbiting.
At Mitter and Hallow, where it orbits with the planet.
Exactly. Well, so I'm around the moon. So the moon orbits New Africa every 90 seconds, which is an Earth-like, right? So so you go screaming around New Africa once every 90 seconds.
With the fleet carrier. Oh, fuck yeah, I must do that, dude.
Oh, yeah, it's a great place to put it, right?
That sounds like a really...
I had to jump it into system because it wouldn't let me select, because another stupid thing, it wouldn't let me select specifically Mitter and Hollow on the first jump. So I had to jump it in system, wait an hour for that, then wait an hour for the cooldown once it got there, then wait another hour to jump it from where it just happened to land in system to Mitterrand, right, to around the actual moon, and to get it, to get it where I wanted it, right?
What if this is designed? What if this is actually designed that you need to jump into a system, and if you want a specific object and you didn't get lucky with the RNG, you need to re-jump? What if this is actually designed just like the fucking decommissioning garbage and whatnot else?
That's right. That's
when I did my.
Oh my god!
When I did my first jump yesterday, I went with my exploration phantom into the destination system, scanned the whole system, and selected the destination from there, and then went back to the carrier. So maybe it suffices to go into the destination system with an exploration ship, scan the system, and manage the jump from there.
Fucking hell. Basically, fuck me.
Right? So because of cooldown and spin up, I basically, it took me 3 hours to get my ship where I wanted it to, right?
Anyway,
Yeah,
guys, I have to.
Well, if
say
you got to
goodbye
run,
for
you got
the
to run.
afternoon.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I got to run, and wish you all the best until later tonight. And I will tune into your stream at XCGS, but I have to do some stuff now.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Bye.
Sounds good.
All right, that's a decent segue for the message of Commander Howl there. Let's see. I freaking love your carrier name. Well, my carrier name.
What's your name at this point?
I wanted to do a reference to you and so on and so forth, but I kind of figured this is kind of more important there.
So sure.
Folks,
so
you know what to do.
So show me, what is it? Yeah, upkeep can suck. Yeah, that's perfect. I actually renamed mine the 42 billion.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So if folks didn't see it first, mine was named TheYamiks' Jealousy. Because right off the bat, he couldn't get one. But yeah, I renamed it. Once we learned that 42 billion number, I renamed it to the 42 billion.
Yeah. Right. There's a little bit more. So also there's an AXI poll on Frontier Forums page. Thought you might show the results. If you have the link for it, do send me in the Discords. I'll definitely take a look at it because it could be pretty interesting. If you mean by the survey results, then still send me the info because I don't have it saved, sorry. But regardless, yeah. People made the good points on the survey is somewhat flawed. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, everything is, realistically speaking, again, when it comes down to surveys and so on and so forth, it's just, I'm not even sure. Well, I'd like to
Have
believe
you been doing surveys on your channel, YamiKs?
A little bit here and there. The last one I did was, let's see. The last one was basically, will the people buy fleet carriers? And the majority said no because they can't. And then the second biggest portion, I think, was, yes, I have money, but no, I won't buy it. Let me just look it up real quick.
I'm looking at it right now. The stat, if you want me to tell you, I can tell you.
I can show it on screen real quick.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
I'll show it. It's I mean, it's an old one, but still, it's kind of.
Yeah, I've been running polls almost like every 12 hours on mine.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
I mean, I've got a lot of really interesting stuff about it, and most of it is so for my conversation today with, with Bruce and with our chats.
Yeah, and right, there was one more thing. Hey Hunter, yes, thanks for subscribing there on Twitch. I really appreciate it. What was I on about? Yes, right, the polls. XCGS actually did a pretty decent poll on where people's credit standing is, basically, and just the level of.
Actually, I think that was
5
Obsidian.
billion is
That was Obsidian. That was
Obsidian. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, Obsidian did one too, and for some reason I thought that you did one. Oh, right.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that one since he had. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I did exactly.
But yeah, generally speaking, back in the day, I did a similar poll. I think it was something like 2018 or even as far as back as 2017 when I did a link in the chats. I don't allow links in the chats. Sorry. Just again.
Yeah, honestly, I don't either.
Wait, no, hold on. My Discord. There we go. Thank you, Hal. Yes.
Links in streams can just get a little too dangerous.
Yeah, that's why I don't allow them. There we go.
Yeah.
Right. So here we go. Yeah, it's the survey results, and these are actually very interesting stats as well. Right, so our carriers for you, very indecisive. Vast majority is on the fence, which, well, I mean, to be fair, yeah. It's just me who's saying that. I must sort of decide as fast as I can and be as decisive. You know, basically like Rick. If you want that reference, you just always be certain of what you want to do and how you want to do things, and never be on, uncertain about shit. But, well, yeah, that's just my thing. That's why I tend to go with extremes on my opinions. What else? So there you go. But there are some interesting things regardless. Let's see. Yes, the upkeep one is a really interesting one and kind of makes me slightly disgusted, but regardless. With the current price, upkeep and functionality, will you be buying... Wait, no, that's not about the upkeep. Hold on. Where was the... how much up... Yeah, there we go. This is the one. Right, so how much upkeep is enough? All upkeep should be reduced. That's the... No, not the majority. Majority is saying it should be removed. And... thank you all for who voted for it. You're doing the proper way of doing things. We don't need it reduced. Because, again, is it 1 credit, 1 million, or 10 million? Maybe 1 billion even. It doesn't matter how big it is. It's designed to do one thing. Well, several things through very disgusting methods. That's the point. It's not designed to... Well, it's also designed to credit drain you, basically, like a fucking succubus just latching onto a penis and just humping you dry, essentially. Unfortunately, you're not getting any fucking pleasure out of it, so that's, there you go. That's the best I can do on a joke on a whim, sorry. That's why I write these things.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that you can stay sane while using the words fleet carrier and design in the same sentence.
Let's see, the base up... well, of course, yeah, if you count together, right, the people who are still satisfied or still apparently want fleet carriers, I guess, yeah, there you go, yeah, the majority still think that upkeep should exist, or at least, well, yeah, given the option of removing it, still would like it, and no.
I don't know that I would say that I like it. Actually, let me clarify. I don't like it at all. I don't mind some level, but I think that level, when we talk about, credits around what you do, right? And the fact that you should be able to earn your rebuy back, I think people would agree in an hour, right? So if you're doing combat, like the highest rebuy you're going to have in combat, say 50 million, you should be able to earn that back in combat in an hour, right? I think that you should be able to earn that weekly upkeep in your dedicated profession in an hour. So if you want it, so that should be as low. I don't think it should go over what the lowest pay per hour right now is. And I think realistically that's 30 million with exploration, right? So a weekly upkeep.
Exegious. Have you heard of this amazing gameplay that personally I like the most called bounty hunting?
Oh, sure. Okay. So, and all right,
that's
so then,
below 10 million.
Let's go. Sure. Okay. So then let's go with that. Right. So, but but you could do combat. You could argue that with combat, with missions and stuff, that you could make, more than that you could make 5 or 10 or something like that. So I guess my point is that I don't know what the number is. I don't mind that there's a number. I mind that the number is so ridiculously, extremely, unbelievably out of touch with reality. right? That's the problem. The fact that
Yeah.
when you look at, I actually had somebody on one of my things say something, like, oh, you're all just a bunch of babies whining about upkeep. There should be upkeep costs. It's not that much. And I'm like, really?
What a
You really think
privileged piece of shit.
$7 billion a year, and that's what people aren't understanding, right? Look, I'm in that 0.3%. I have 21 billion in assets. I can't afford a fleet carrier for a full year. That's ridiculous.
No.
Right?
You can afford it, Exigeous. You can
Oh,
actually
and
afford
without
it by
selling
your
off-
own words.
yeah.
You need to just grind and play the game. Do
Right.
you want the second
Right.
job? Here's your second job, bitch.
Right. And that's where I say, like, if
It's
that
just
upkeep is
disgusting.
5 million a week, 10 million a week, and it's a big ship, so okay. If it's a little bit bigger number, it's end game, okay, fine, right? 147 million a week. I mean, it's laughable, right? I mean, when I made, and people have kind of given me a little, going back to the video and been, I had a little insight when I made my goofy ass April Fool's video predicting some of those numbers. I had no real idea I was going to get anywhere close to reality, right? Like I think I said in that video $1 billion a week because I thought that was 100 times right above what it would actually be.
Well,
And I think the main, for me, and this has been brought up a lot, and is what do I get for this? Where's the gameplay? What does this add for me? Right? It especially when you factor in, for me personally, spin up time ruins any sort of gameplay I would ever use this for. When you factor the fact that I can't store more than 40 ships and 120 modules, it's a fleet carrier, and I can't put my fleet on it.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Here's another interesting side note that I just noticed in the chats. Original Gamer, as much as he's fanning over Star Citizen, there are some interesting things from time to time also coming from his side, which do give credit to. And so, funny thing is, so he says, go look at the KS vids. Kickstarter vids, there we go. From 2012, Braben even states that I don't want the players to mine just to afford things in game, literally out of his mouth. If you looked at the video, nothing in the game from 8 years ago. If you can find that video, dude, if any of you can actually find that portion, because I've gone through some of the Kickstarter old videos, and I specifically gone through those things related to space likes and so on and so forth, so I searched for that information. But if you can find that information, holy fuck, thank you. That'd be great if you could actually somehow message me, I don't know, on Discord or something, because I do kind of remember something similar being said. I'm not sure if it was by him or someone else.
Yeah, I've heard the quote from him, and I can't find it either now, Yamiks, and I've looked for it. Maybe
it'd be definitely a funny little super cut to do, right?
Oh, sure.
Oh, we're introducing fleet carriers. 8 years back, this was said, basically. Just...
Actually, you know what's probably the saddest part about all of this?
Do tell.
Well, you know how they're supposed to be releasing a paid DLC sometime at the end of this year or next year?
It's gonna be on the console launch. I guarantee it's gonna happen on console launch, because that's a well, anyways, carry on.
Wait, what do you mean, Yamiks? What's going to happen at console launch?
I mean, new consoles are launching. Frontier obviously sees the potential to sell the shit for new players that are coming in for the new consoles. So obviously it's going to be on console launch or slightly after it. Because, they need to catch all the new players. I mean, that's a smart move in business way, right? I can't really judge it for anything malicious. It's just a smart way to do things.
Yeah.
Depends how it's executed, of course, as well.
Very good point.
Oh, fucking hell.
If this is how they're presenting themselves by throwing this fleet carrier out with how janky it is and all that, then how is this going to bode for something that they're actually expecting people to pay for with real money?
I've heard that comment dozens of times.
Yeah.
I've also heard the comment dozens of times of, well, I guess for that we're gonna have to, if we do get space legs, we're gonna have to grind for our shoes and our socks.
Oh, that was amazing post. Hold on, let me just see what do we got on, because it was on a Reddit. It was such a fucking amazing post. Let's see if I can find it. But yeah, it's just parody after parody. It's amazing.
But yeah, the quote that you were talking about, YamiKs, that I've heard before was Braben saying that he didn't want there to be any one specific, job or occupation, however you want to word it, gameplay that people had to engage in because it paid better than others, right? Like if you're a trader, you shouldn't have to explore. If you're an explorer, you shouldn't have to mine. If you're a miner, you shouldn't have to do combat, right? And historically, the game could not have been more the opposite of that. There's always been one thing that we've had to do that made money. And for the last year and a half, it's been mining. And clearly with this update, that's what they want to continue to push is more mining. And I enjoyed mining the first, 1,000 tons maybe, right? But the last 40,000 tons that I've had to mine, I don't enjoy it anymore.
I don't know. I find trading at least the most cathartic and sort of relaxing sort of a thing. I know Exegius absolutely hates mining, but I'm the complete opposite.
No, I hate trading. No? I don't hate mining. I hate trading.
Well, I was talking about trading, so yeah. I'm actually more partial for trading rather than mining.
Are you really? Oh,
again, it has that quality of just being planned out, and just constant drive and just okay, fine. I used to do this in fucking RuneScape back in the day quite a bit, so I don't know, maybe it just reminds me of that old different
and I've got friends that are that are all about trading and finding trade loops, and it's take off, it's fly somewhere, land, use menus, take off, fly somewhere, land, use menus, right? At least with mining, I'm doing something and I'm flying through, and there's stuff to look at, and there's pretty with the asteroids, right? I've never gotten trade, but we all have things that some guys hate combat, some guys hate exploring, some guys love
exactly, and there's this whole big community around Mobius. As many people bitch at them or as many people support them, doesn't matter which side you're on. The fact of the matter is that there are plenty of people that do want to engage in purely non-PvP online gameplay, PvE style of cooperative.
Always been a strength and a weakness of the game, if you ask me, that it's 5 games to 5 different gamers, right?
Yeah.
Which creates its own problems and its own wonder at the same time.
Yes. Right. There is the post of the Space Legs mock-up somebody did on the Reddit. So essentially, the Space Legs gameplay. You look up, you look down, you click on buttons. Essentially, that's gonna be, or rather, that's what somebody parodies this thing be as. Just press on buttons, click, and that's what your character does. It's not you running around in WASD.
I haven't seen that yet. I see it on your screen now.
But that's not all, folks. That's not all. There are some amazing comments down below.
Steps left 4 of 24.
Yeah, there were some amazing comments. Let me see if I can find
Walk
them.
rank. That's
yeah, walk rank. Just the stupidest thing.
Oh, that is absolutely epic.
Hold on.
I usually stay away from the Reddit, but I gotta admit that one's pretty great.
There we go, that's the comment. And for each step consumes a single unit of locomotium, a new introduced material. It's amazing. There are so many amazing comments on the It's just, it's awesome. Great. It's honestly, I do recommend everyone just checking this shit out. And just give your best sort of impression of what Space Legs could be. Anyways, that'll be links in the chats there. So if anyone's interested to look it up later on, there's plenty of information. So yeah, it's great.
Narcotics to be old, then your character falls asleep next time you're on.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Oh man, but yeah, I mean, fleet carriers. The saddest thing is that in my mind, right, when I think about fleet carriers and the things that Xegius and even myself is trying to do is change things, but the change that I'm looking for is literally annihilating the fucking upkeep cost, right? That is literally a core gameplay loop, and never have developers of Elite ever changed even a single bit of how a main gameplay loop changed.
You're
after
totally
a beta, right?
Yep.
I mean, okay, maybe I'm
Yep.
forgetting something, but really, there have been only value changes on small things. Like with engineering, for example, I remember, right? It was a great opportunity for them to nerf the fucking Healy Swarfilis or other things, shields, and so on and so forth. Or even just change a couple of things in general sense, right? Just to at least bring them in a little bit more, right? But what they did at that engineering 2.0 update was just increase from 100 per material storage to 300, 250, and
Right.
yada yada yada.
The tiers,
for
yeah.
different tiers, right? Instead of
Yeah.
having 100 for everyone, it's just like. That's all you did, really?
Well, you
That's
think
all you're
about, for
willing to
example,
change?
with Heelys, like you just said, rather than fix the regen sequence on beam lasers, which is way too powerful, they set station weapons to do phasing damage or cascade damage to take out your shields, so that you can't use the exploit that SDC did, where they would heal each other inside a station and then attack people. Right. The right way to fix that would have been to nerf, and I know we all hate the word nerf, right? But to nerf heal beams, because heal beams are so OP that we have to ban them in things like PvP. Because if somebody's healing somebody in PvP, that's it. There's no chance you're going to kill that person, right? And it's so unbelievably broken that rather than address the core issue like that, they don't, right? They do something else. They do it in some. Or another great example is, if you remember with mine launcher, right? There's a problem with the mine launcher in some ships when you fire
Yeah,
it.
just basically make it useless completely. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, that's how we fix
instead
it.
of
Make it
code around
useless.
it.
Yeah, baby.
Well, yeah, instead of code around it correctly and say that either you can't hit your own mine, like right after it launches, and do some error detection there, they just say, oh, we'll just set the arming time for 5 seconds. Well, that completely made mines worthless, right? And by the way, if you're sitting there thinking mine launcher is worthless anyway, how you don't understand the mine launcher.
I mean, mine launcher has its uses, but the thing is, normally it used to be that there were 2-second arming time. Then something broke, they changed it to 5 seconds, because apparently mines collided with your ship and damaged it, or just exploded without arming. And some, it's okay, fine, that is an issue. Instead of coding, or rather changing a value from 2 seconds of arming time to 5, I don't know, maybe use a little bit of that brain that you have and code in invulnerability to those mines for those 2 seconds, right? Invulnerability for 2 seconds, pure and simple. It's gonna be kind of broken, when somebody's attacking you, but realistically speaking, no one really uses them that much. And, coding invulnerability oftentimes is a thing with projectiles that a lot of games use for many things. As a matter of fact, noob tubes from Call of Duty, right? No, it's not exactly the same idea, but in other games where there are essentially, grenade launchers, barrel grenade launchers coming for rifles and so on and so forth. I've played a few games that actually simply didn't damage anything as long as you were too close, right? And that's the same idea. It doesn't do anything, right? And if it does, or rather goes through something, all right. Finally arms and so on. But yeah, anyways, I think I have video given to me, so let me just find a portion here and mute the musics. And looks like we might actually have something from the Kickstarter days from Frontier. Let me just turn up the volume here, mute this thing, and I guess we can listen in. I'm not sure if it's gonna be there. Hold on. Let's see. Let's give it a context.
Say. Now, a similar thing that I've been asked about, but haven't talked a lot about, is mining. So mining also we want to make a little bit more sophisticated. So, for example, if you're mining in one of the core systems, the chances of finding a large deposit of something would be incredibly low. In comparison with if you go out to one of the frontier worlds, or even beyond the frontier, where it's explored but not yet, there are not yet people living there, your chance of finding a really great find is very, very much higher. And so with all of these things, that will evolve with time. So as the system becomes more populated, your chance of discovering a great, gold reserve will decrease. But your ability to sell it, your ability to get it back to a place where there's a stock market is obviously much greater, which is so... with all of these things that we want to factor in, or we plan to factor in the rarity of the item to affect the cost. Because I think one of the things that always frustrated me with Elite and Frontier, I think, wait a second, I've taken all these goods, a really, really long way. I should get more for them than the really short jumps, which you can do almost as an exploit within the game, where you jump. There was in Elite, I think there was a 0.1 light year jump in the bottom left, where you could really, really make money quickly. It's those sort of things where, when you do make the long jumps or the complex trips, because maybe you're doing another mission at the same time, you should really benefit from it. So with all of those things coming together, I think they should make for a lot of richness. And what really interests me is when players can cooperate to actually improve that. Because a lot of these things where you get sort of group behaviours, I think is exciting, especially if you follow it. You're thinking, all of these people are buying these goods at the same time to drive the market. That can actually make the gameplay really compelling when you have online things where you drive the price up or down and then benefit from it. Now, I think trading was seen... Ian and I ironically saw trading as being quite dull in Elite, and it was really just a justification for travelling from A to B. But I think the more richness we can do to it, so you can go to somewhere special where there is a rare or valuable resource, then people will do it. Because presumably on Jonty World, there will be other things that you can buy that are just sort of much more mundane. But if you imagine that there is some sort of rare creature or a particularly tasty creature, then that makes it a lot more intriguing. So just finishing off, I'd like to thank everybody again for all of the pledges that have come in there.
All right, so that's basically the end there. That's generally nothing. Well, he talks about the dynamic market and how that could work. So dynamic market is essentially, again, something that is produced, and when you distribute it and all that stuff, and you drive the price down and so on and so forth, essentially that live thing, rather than being controlled by AI, rather algorithm, simple thing, and it's not really what we were talking about, really. It was we were talking about the fact that developers said oh wait, no, it was what was the thing that we wanted to find, a quote of Braben saying that I don't want the players just mine, and yeah, I don't want players to mine just to afford things in game. Yeah, that's sort of a quote with the context of just grinding, sort of a thing. But again, there are so many fucking videos to go through, and listening through all that drivel and all that early day stuff. Clearly, many things change over the development of the time and whatnot else. And I would be, actually, as a matter of fact, I would be surprised that there's even like 20% of the developers. I mean, people who are not sound design, of course, sound design constantly moves around and all that. Everyone else, 20% of the original team still left, right? I'd be rather surprised, but it is possible. It is possible, though. Would they make such massive coding mistakes? Well, I don't think so. In any case, yeah. So that's interesting, but anyways, yeah, here's an interesting side note in some ways. You see, I was actually, if you're talking about markets, right? So I was a little while back on the stream. I was saying that you can't, or rather, the commodity market is broken for Elite Dangerous beta right now for fleet carriers, and that is generally true, right? You can issue, let's see, you can issue a sell order. You know, when you basically are, when you have stock and you want to sell the stuff, yeah, you can do that, and it will show up, and people can buy it. Oh wait, no, sorry, this is me being able to sell it to the fleet carrier. There we go. I can sell it to the fleet carrier, and yeah, there you go. I can sell it, and when I go in my carrier management, I open my commodity market. I open the hydrogen fuel, which I request to purchase. You know, that's the stock that I want to buy. And let's say I want to immediately also offer a stock back to the people, like many stations do, right? When you purchase from people on low and sell on high, which is a common thing to do. And let's see what happens if I press apply. Because I have a little bit stock, right? You see, stock is 24 units, so I want to sell all of it, right? It's weird that you can't select how much you want to sell. So you can always, you know, be sold out, which is weird, but whatever. I click apply. It doesn't change. I go back. I disable trade this commodity, basically removing it from the market, right? It doesn't appear anymore. I press sell my stock. I press sell, and it appears as a sell. Alright, maybe it was a bug. Then I want to just, you know, also issue a buy order. Buy and sell orders, right? That's a very common thing to do. So I want to buy, let's say, 4 units. Fuck it. For the lowest price possible. Whatever. And it changes to buy order. That's true. But it removes the sell order. You can't sell and buy at the same time. As you can see, it removes the buy order. So you can't have buying and selling at the same time. Either that's a bug or intended. At this point, one replaces the other, but the other doesn't replace the one. It's like, what? And of course, if you set buy order, as in, you know, you want your fleet carrier to buy stuff. If you set this stock amount more than 1,000, no one's gonna be able to sell to it, as far as in my testing I found. So the thing is, yeah, you want to buy this much stock. Sorry, no one's gonna be able to go through with that transition because apparently something is broken in the fucking menus. I don't know why, but there you go. That's the result. And oh, Flying Brickyard found a quote. All right. So
we did find
markets is broken. So markets is broken. And imagine the stupidest retarded thing here is that this could have been released already. They've delayed these things twice. Imagine this actually coming out in this broken state. And this is not the only thing that is broken. Right? In beta, I expected them to have, yeah, okay, beta issues of, like, crashing, right? Okay, kinda can expect that. But when a feature literally is still not working properly, I mean... Are we literally basically unpaid QA testers for them? And this is their actual QA testing?
It's had that question so many times. Yep.
So baffling. It's fucking baffling. The absolute... And if developers actually take us for a ride to just be their QA testers, that's just disgusting mentality. So, yeah, and I don't like to think about that sort of a thing, about fucking company, right? Except EA, maybe. And hold on, we have a picture and a quote from.
He's the Yamiks.
Soundwave, thank you for your contribution there. Oh god damn it, it disappeared. The message was, I bought the battle kettle just because of your review. Well, thank you very much, really appreciate it. Right, let's carry on with the quote that I was looking for. Also, if you're in my Discord, try not to spam the general. There's post videos, you know.
They could have just like had like delayed it and then thought, oh shit, we actually need to work on this, and they just chuck something together at the last minute. And
this has been delayed twice. How much more delays do you need? It's been 2.5 years and they still haven't developed proper coding for this.
Because they're being lazy.
Anyways, let's listen to the video and then draw further comparison, I guess.
Role of bounty hunter and the benefits for it. And then the anacondas themselves as traders. One of the things that we want to do with the alpha and beta tests is to ensure that no one role is a massive generator of cash. What I don't want as a game like this is being forced to forever asteroid mine or whatever it is, if there is one way of gaining a lot of money. I mean, it's one of the standard things for games is to essentially encourage the enjoyment. You do that by making sure that no one role stands out and to try and balance it that way. Now, we absolutely realise people will get very good at one thing, that's fine. But I mean, if you get very good at a particular role, it shouldn't be massively better than if you get very good at some other role. I mean,
Very loud.
Let me play this again.
generator of cash. Escort 4 different, but also taking the role of bounty hunter and the benefits for it. And then the
I had your
anacondas
stream
themselves as
muted, so
traders.
I didn't actually
One
hear
of the
what you
things
were
that we-
applauding to.
Right, hold on. Replaying it again. So.
Okay, dude, I thought this was true. When you're done with that, I got something to tell you. That's another absolute wow.
Hold on.
And the benefits for it. And then the anacondas themselves as traders. One of the things that we want to do with the alpha and beta tests is to ensure that no one role is a massive generator of cash. What I don't want as a game like this is being forced to forever asteroid mine or whatever it is, if there is one way of gaining a lot of money. I mean, it's one of the standard things for games is to essentially encourage the enjoyment. You do that by making sure that no one role stands out and to try and balance it that way. Now, we absolutely realise people will get very good at one thing, that's fine. But I mean, if you get very good at a particular role, it shouldn't be massively better than if you get very good at some other role. I mean, in fact, what we really want, the best, is to be a mix of roles so that you don't get locked into any one thing and so that you do multiple things at once. So, you know, you might be carrying Princess Lucky to some opening ceremony, maybe the mining center on Deus World, and you might as well bring along some Lystium brandy too, because during the opening ceremony, sort of entertainment goods are much more valuable, much more expensive.
Braben. now I need to address the Mr. Braben directly, folks. Braben, what the fuck happened with your game?
Oh, Yamiks,
What-
can you get me the link to it? Where can I get a link to that video? Do you mind DMing it to me?
My Discord's general right there, flying.
Okay,
Brickyard, actually
okay.
had it. So,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
It's amazing. I'm gonna use that quote so fucking much now. Thank you so much. I mean, again, he at first states that for beta and alpha, they want to do a balanced test of, making sure that nothing is outlying in a credit making thing. Then he proceeds to talk about the general game when it gets released, or even before that or after that, that the game shouldn't have this outlying thing. At first I thought that was quote about the beta and alpha, after the game gets released. it's a common thing for things to change and so on and so forth, which is a common thing. But then he says about the whole game. And Braben.
God, that's excellent. I'm so glad that we found that.
Mr. Braben, what the fuck happened with your game? Do you even know what the fuck happened with your game? With your so-called darling? Maybe it's time to go back and, you know, kind of take a look. I'm just saying. Yeah. Thank you, everyone who found this quote. It's gonna be so memed over the next couple of weeks. I promise you that much. From myself, of course. Right. XCGS, you had something interesting, so feel free to elaborate. Aegis?
Yeah, sorry. I was watching something else. Sorry, say that again.
You had something interesting to share as well, then.
Oh, yes. So, do you realize that if you take off at a carrier and you die,
Okay.
that you don't respawn at your carrier?
I kind of would expect in some ways. Okay.
So let's say which I think is absurd. So let's say you're an explorer. You've flown your carrier way out into the black, and you die.
Okay.
You spawn back in the bubble, or back in Colonia, or back wherever, and now your carrier is thousands of light years away from you. Or just now, like I was doing, I test combat with somebody. I leave out from my carrier. That's where all my ships are. That's where all my modules are. It's my home base. I die, and I respawn in some random station somewhere, not back on my carrier. And
nothing.
You don't find that absurd?
You're in Mitterrand Hollow, and I know for a fact Mitterrand Hollow has a starport in which you can spawn with any ship.
Right, exactly.
And you don't spawn in that. Am I correct in saying that?
No. So my carrier is orbiting Mitterrand, right?
Yeah.
I died in Super Cruise, just out in normal space in system, right? And rather than spawning back on my carrier, I spawned in just one of the random stations in Epsilon Indy.
Okay, fun times. Did that system where you died had a station you could spawn on?
Right, that's my point. So the system that I died in had a station. So I spawned in the same system, right? But I didn't spawn back. So you don't spawn in your carrier when you die.
Nor do you spawn in the system that has a place to spawn at. Well, I can say that that's genius.
So basically, you spawn at the closest station in the system you die in, or I imagine if that system doesn't have a station, you would spawn. We'll have to test this. You would spawn in the closest station to the last system you had a station in, something like that. Right? But to me, that's ridiculous that you don't respawn on your own fucking carrier.
Well, I mean, I assume that's for the reasons that this spawn point is transporting itself constantly. I have a feeling that they haven't coded it. Again, this all comes back to the fact that it's not coded. Simply, it's just, it's just not coded for this shit.
Wouldn't you want to spawn back on your carrier?
Have a mobile where you want to place it, placeable spawn point. Yeah, it'd be. I don't know why am I not really that much surprised about this shit.
Oh, I'm not. I guess I'm not surprised, but I don't like it. That seems ridiculous to me, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is my. It's my carrier is my home, right? Like I die and I'm not like my carrier is my mobile station, but I don't spawn back on it.
Wait.
I mean, just
how much more can just okay?
I said a long time ago that I knew there was. Remember when I was talking about multi-crew and how there was a big gotcha with multi-crew, and that you can't mix wings and multi-crew? Then I was worried there was going to be some big gotchas.
Because multi-crew is basically copy-pasted wing system, but regardless, that's a
exactly
topic.
Right. Yeah. But and that there would be some big gotcha with this that would make it basically unusable for everybody. It's all gotchas. right? I mean, every bit of it is not how any of us would have designed it.
And that's the thing. Developers, instead of actually talking about the technical issues, instead of explaining that, oh, we have trouble coding these things, and if we manage to, we're gonna put it in, right? At least that sort of a rhetoric I would kind of understand. Instead of that, we just simply have not even excuses, but just saying, oh, this is exciting, everything's exciting, and ignoring the actual facts and explain. They're just basically not explaining why these things are. Even, again, Exigeous was streaming, and then the fleet carrier thing, right? And Will and I think Bruce also came in on his stream and, asked things, and I got a question in, and I was asking, I think it was the upkeep, right? What is the thinking process behind upkeep? The answer he gave was essentially, oh, we're waiting for all the what was it? We're waiting for all the feedback. It's gonna be, let us know what you think about it. That's not even an answer. That's a statement. It's just nonsensical fucking statement about the question that I had, and it was directly addressed to yours truly about the question I had. Like that dismiss. I understand the CMs are there to just, transfer information between us and the team to us.
Right.
But god damn it, guys, do your job and at least just fucking hell. That felt patronizing. Will, I don't know if you're watching, I don't care if you do at this point, because that, again, it just felt fucking patronizing. I ask a question. Well, at least have a decency to say, oh, I can't answer that, sorry, I'll have to look it up. At least that was more fucking sincere than the goddamn, oh, we need your feedback, it'd be great to have feedback as an answer to my question. Like, what the fuck is this?
I get you.
I don't know, it's disappointing, and I understand. And many times, as a matter of fact, I know that Will does communicate with the team when I ask him questions about the game and, so on and so forth. And I'm okay with waiting. I'm fine. I can wait, no problem. But
right.
It's just the answers and the tone that is given. It's just frustrating at the very least.
Yeah.
So, well, hopefully, Exigeous is gonna have better time.
I'm gonna run off. I just wanted to stop in briefly and just say a quick hi since I saw you were on. Say hi to everybody. I guess I will see you here in what, about 4.5 hours, something like that.
Give or take, yeah. I'll probably take a look at what it does, but probably not gonna watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
I kind of want to relax and play games.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, I guess when you join us for for the stream this afternoon with all of us, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing my thing, right? So I'll be just a guest. So,
yeah, perfect. I mean, you're welcome to if you want, but yeah, it's totally up to you. All right, thanks everybody. Nice to see everybody, and I hope to see you guys a little later today on my stream. Take care, everybody.
A big thanks to Exigeous here for coming along. Those that don't know, Exigeous is gonna have Bruce, the Gambit, one of the newer community managers on the team. Not the newest, there's another one newer than him. But regardless, taking, I don't know, questions or things and so on and so forth. And he's going to be doing some streams and so on and so forth. So I suppose it's at least worth checking out a couple of things from his side, if not the whole thing, right? That aside, I see Hasmango has joined us, and then everyone else, and sorry if it took such a long time to just say hi. It's just
I didn't want to.
It's frantic. So Hasmango, so what's up with you?
Oh, I was just doing some PvP.
Well, okay. Then the big question from your PvP ass looking side of things, psychotic, psychopath, I don't know, whatever you get called. Your take on the fleet carriers, right? So the PvP communities, or at least your personal take on things.
Apart from a handful of exceptions, there's no reason for them for the PvP side.
Okay, give me exceptions. Let's go with the straw man. Why not?
So if we take like the nitpicking, there are some events that do happen. Like some people do small ship events at certain small ships any events really, like in rings. What this, if fleet carriers work the way I think they're going to work, I'm assuming people can dock at a fleet carrier and then jump with it.
Yes,
That's
you
the way it
can.
works. So this kind of allows you to do fights at like nebulas and stuff to get a really cool backdrop when you do fights.
Well, if Exigeous is to be believed, you can't respawn, or rather, you won't be respawning on the fleet carrier. So if you die in a nebula, well, guess where you're gonna end up?
Oh my gosh. Well,
So-
all right, yeah, all right. Well, if
Go back to the
it
rest.
continues like that, then there's no reason at all to use them.
All right, that sounds fun. That sounds
Yeah.
fun. Oi, gods. Oh, man,
I was,
fleet carrier is just such a mess, man. Like,
Look, personally, I might get some flack for this. I really like the idea behind it. I really do. But look, the maintenance stuff just kills it, because people look. I don't know if Frenchie knows this, but people play this game for like a week or two pretty intensely.
oh,
and then take
most
a couple
most
of weeks
players,
break.
as a matter of fact, play maybe 1 to maybe 4 hours at best a week, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say the casual player is probably gonna just simply play the fucking thing.
Yeah, when they
let's
want.
say 8 hours, 8 to 16 hours a week. There you go.
Yeah.
At
So if
best.
we go with those numbers, it's like it's just there's no reason to get one ever, even if you're super rich, unless you're doing mass trading, which I only see a couple people doing. I don't see a reason to own one. However, I really do like you being able to trade stuff between players, which your video did today. Pretty good.
Yeah, the credit transfer is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, so that's cool. I like that a lot.
I
really,
personally
really
still
do.
am on kind of a fence, because again, as a game designer, I would not, under no circumstance, allow something like this. It's just no. That first of all literally prevents people from playing your game or making sure that they play your game. So
I
it's
mean,
just.
that's such a loose definition now, to be honest.
Well, there is that. Okay, fine. They skip the progression, which in a proper game would be introducing you with the game's features, the way things work, and how the world should feel.
Oh yeah, like if
You're
if we
skipping
go on
that
approach-
experience, essentially, that essential feel that is designed to be, felt.
Yeah, at the same time, sometimes the early game of Elite kind of sucks, like real bad.
Oh, you don't
So-
say. Really?
So
Really?
it depends. It's like if you want to go purely down the single player route, yeah, 100% agree. This shouldn't be allowed, like this kind of stuff. But look, because they have multiplayer features, it allows people to interact with one another. So unless they go one route or the other and keep, doing half-half of both passes, this stuff's going to keep happening. People will find a way to give money to people. I don't think it's a good idea personally, but people will find a way.
Oh, of
This is
course.
just the easiest.
There are always the
that's come
holes
up.
that Frontier is so, or not the Frontier, I mean the developer team are so keen on sort of plugging, let's just say.
Mm.
So, yeah.
But I do like
Yeah.
them. Just want to make this clear. I like the idea of them. Need some
Oh,
work.
sure.
I
They
do
have
like the
their
idea of them.
place.
Like,
Uh,
they're a bit broken at the moment, as the forums and Reddit and Facebook and Discord want to point out. But I do like it. I do.
Yep. Hey, it's I don't know. This is just a mess. And right, those that are just coming on the stream and so on and so forth, we've already talked about this. But yes, the fleet carrier decommissioning debt, the huge debt the developers are talking about, is 300 million. So if you incur 300 million debt from a fleet carrier through which you can spend 43 fucking billions on, is first of all called a big debt, 300 million from 43 potential billion, right? That's apparently a huge debt, right? 300 million, and then the ship basically goes into a forced decommissioning state. And this forced decommissioning state is just like normal decommissioning state and so on and so forth. But basically, there you go.
Stupid.
I
That's
mean,
stupid.
because that's definitely massive amount. I mean, before fleet carrier prices were announced and so on and so forth, 300 as a simple figure without any context, yeah, makes sense. But
It's like
if you put
buying
it
a
in
new cutter.
context, at best case scenario, that is fully undecked fleet carrier, which costs the least amount of money, right? It's 5 billion, and 300 million is only 6%. Essentially, a rebuy of a ship.
Yeah.
It's the level you basically incur a debt equal to a rebuy of that ship that you've purchased, and they will take it away unless you pay it up. And I got killed. Well, let's see where I spawn.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So let's
okay,
see where
this
I
is what I've
spawn.
been thinking. I've been talking
Yes.
to, I think, some people about this. Look, call me a paranoid person, but I think they deliberately made them these expensive. First off, is so that when the feedback comes back saying this shit's too expensive, instead of saying this stuff doesn't work.
Success.
Well,
I
okay.
think they
For
deliberately-
reference here, I am spawning at Agartha, right? That's literally the last place I was docked at, and it's also a system where I got my megaship. So technically, it's not as varied as Exigeous case. But if I, let's say, flew out my fleet carrier out somewhere and then died somewhere completely different, I would be spawning in the last place I docked rather than my megaship.
Oh, I dare say someone would have already tested out that that mechanic, and if it is
Yeah.
true, that's a bit silly.
I mean, the only excuse of not spawning back at your megaship for me is literally just an excuse of we couldn't code it. In 2.5 years, we couldn't fucking code a movable spawn point. I mean, spawn point coding is literally the basis of many games, especially multiplayers. Like that's the core principles of the fucking multiplayer, right? But I guess
Actually,
no.
that brings up an interesting question. If you're on the Gnosis and you die on the Gnosis, do you
You
spawn back
return
on
to
the
Gnosis. Yeah.
So it shouldn't be any different to a fleet carrier.
Yes, yes, indeed. Well, unless of course you want to be very picky and you want to be a player who expects things like a normal human would expect things. I mean, why would you expect that thing, right? This is space magic cocaine logic for you. There you go. It makes sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense if you're a game developer right now, right? There you go. I mean, why are we all complaining? It just makes complete sense. Like, honestly, I don't know about you, but yeah, what's the point of complaining? Who cares, right? It all matters about the fucking developers, right? Yeah, it's their baby, not yours. You're taking it for a loan. Literally. Fucking hell.
Quite literally.
That's the thing. This is a mechanic, right? This is not just a simple value that can be easily changed. This is a mechanic of a game that hasn't been put in it. What I can only assume is in these 2 years, 2.5 years, as a matter of fact, of development. You start to question so many things about both the competence, design, the intentions of the game. It's a mess. It's a poorly strung together fucking mess that was probably asked by some, I don't know, manager or well, the higher ups essentially to be put in the game, and Well, honestly, at this point, I kind of feel for the poor coders that have to deal with this shit. Like, honestly, I do feel for them, especially in these super fucking hard times, right?
So
But-
it's almost similar to like gameplay
Jesus
by management rather than gameplay by passion.
I don't even know anymore what to even say about these things. It's so baffling, the level of design. When it came down to multi-crew, right, you can clearly see that it was rushed and they simply didn't had enough time to make it, or just simply make it work. So even to this day, it's still half-ass broken. But yeah, at least it actually was, you know, when it works, and it is designed, and you can feel that it is designed fully. At least the things that have been designed, well, work without, you know, when it's not crashing, right? Fleet carriers is just such a... Well, okay, the best way I can... Actually, yeah, the best way I can describe this is the best analogy I can find. Essentially, you let your dog eat what is it? The dental floss, right? You let your dog eat dental floss, and you know, then the dog shits. And then there's that piece of string that is, you know, out, still outside, right? And you then pull on it, just pull it out. And that's fleet carriers. That disgusting feeling is literally fleet carriers, my friends.
If the
Feel
floss
free
came
to
out-
clip that.
If the floss came out at night, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, there you go. Weirdest analogy ever made. Oh, it's the thing is, I've heard this joke in a few places, and as a matter of fact, I think I've used it even on my video somewhere some time ago. So, but there you go. Yeah, so it's kind of a reuse, but still, it's a great example in my mind, at least. Oy.
I think I'm gonna go to bed.
Well, you're
I
Australian,
shit
so
you
it
not.
kind of makes sense. Oh God!
Oh,
All right, we must
Crazy.
stop before
Oh.
this gets really weird. Don't buy this. I agree. Oh,
That's
God.
very good. I'm actually, I run a player faction mainly Australians and New Zealanders, and
Mhm.
I take it from the view that we are probably going to get one, albeit because I run the faction. We are going to get one purely just to provide gameplay. It's might not be enjoyable gameplay for me because I've got to run around and game presence, but because we have a lot of new guys come through, we just want to provide experience and gameplay to new guys, and then they can get that experience. And we normally take guys up to a
So basically, you're doing credit transfers. I mean, sure.
pretty much,
Fuck
pretty
it.
much.
At this
And-
point, really, once you're past the first, well, fuck it, 20, 50 hours of the game, everything else is just a grind and learning the little details about fucking engineering and whatnot else. So after that, I mean, fuck it, go and give them money. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
we're a fairly active group, but we can maintain a carrier, no dramas. But I haven't left the bubble in 2 years because every day I run around my bubble, I update the influence charts, I look in Anara, I issue orders to the faction, go work here, go work there. And these fleet carriers not doing anything for BGS is a right roll pain in the ass, is what it is. I would love to be able to move a fleet carrier into a system I want to expand into, have our faction presence there, and just, excuse the language, but F shit up. I'd
Mhm.
love that, but these carriers aren't offering anything for BGS, and it's just so annoying.
They're specifically made not to affect them, because honestly, it's in a way good thing, in a way bad thing. Honestly, at this point, I don't care.
Neither do I. Our faction is based out of the system of. I'll say it without saying the proper word. Kunti, spelled K-U-N-T-I.
Mhm.
And it's perfect for Australians.
Well, it's perfect. Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, fuck it. Love all the cunts.
Exactly, love all the countries. And it's parked there in the beta, and as far as I know, no one's, apart from the first night when I bought it, when the beta opened, I don't think anyone's gone into the beta and actually looked at it. So whether we actually buy one or not is a whole other issue, because I certainly don't want to spend the 7 to 14 billion credits, just having one that no one's going to dock at. That doesn't provide any BGS advantages for me. And yeah, it'd be interesting as in part of a gameplay perspective, but mainly for the brand new guys. But even then, I'll just tell them to go somewhere else, go find another fleet carrier to look at.
Oh boy, oh boy. And fleet car is just a mess. Yeah, I mean, it is designed as a massive credit sink. Okay, but then why? Again, it's just why put the fucking upkeep on it? That's the thing for me, right? It's not enough that you already proven, like literally proven that you can and have grown the game for thousands of hours. Which, let's be honest, most people who have enough to buy fleet carriers are or have played thousands of hours or 1,000 hours at the least. That's the usual thing, right? And it's not enough for developers that you have proven that you've spent so much time in it. You've given them so much, as a matter of fact, and back what you're getting is mentally abusive fucking wife beater. Essentially, I mean, I hate to joke about fucking domestic abuse and so on and so forth, but Jesus Christ, that's how it feels, right? It's mentally abusing, for fuck's sakes. Yeah, abusive relationship. There you go.
What's the quote about the divorce?
Oh God, not sure which one you mean.
Something about flogging.
Oh, the dead horse beating. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we are all beating the dead horse.
I know you're in a bit of a
so
weird
much juice is flowing.
situation. I know you're in a bit of a weird situation, Yamiks, with a lovely old channel dedicated to Elite Dangerous. And
that's not the only thing, but well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I'm in that niche, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, but like to anybody else who plays the game, look, their just general response is fleet carriers. Neat. What was that? It's kind of it.
It mainly is. I mean,
it's a big wow factor. There you go.
It's a wow factor, and then there was the people who have, as Yamik said, multiple thousand hours in the game, billions of credits. It was the promise of something new and interesting to work on. Now, obviously, we've gotten an idea. It's going to cost us 14 billion credits, and It's going to be upkeeping you, get you 300 million credits, and it's going to be taken off you. A lot of people are disappointed at that, and exactly what he'd say, just as Obsidian and yourself, Yamix. Everyone said we want something new and interesting, but this is not it.
Yeah, we're probably never gonna get the answer of what was this originally designed as, or what is the intention of it right now. Because let's be honest, they won't reveal what their design philosophy is, because their design philosophy is probably more disgusting that even I can imagine. Right? And I'm being very, very cynical on many points, and it's I don't know. Fucking hell.
Their original idea was that this would be a Squadron-based forward operating base.
Originally, yeah, they admitted it.
Yeah,
fair enough.
That was
you want to put it,
and then people complained because they can. They have a choice to.
Well,
and they were like,
we'll make it I'm the first in line on that.
I know, but then they said, look, there's enough outcry, and apparently enough outcry on the forums and Reddit that people want to earn them themselves. So that's what they did. But I don't think they adjusted the prices to reflect that.
It's, I don't know, it's just...
Like, remember,
it's purely... The weirdest thing for me is, why make it a punishment system? Like, truly, the selling or decommissioning of the megaship is depreciation simulator, which is disgusting. So every day you're basically counting how much fucking credits or millions of credits you've lost already. So then there's a weekly upkeep that constantly nags you to log in to check whether the fucking game is okay. And it's just, why just... they could have had a decent win with at least people who could afford it, as long as it was actually rewarding each week. Like, how hard would it be to just put in a weekly reward by having quote-unquote NPC trading happening on your ship or something?
That's what I want too. That's what I want.
Like, right? How much more incentivized you would be to actually join and play Elite Dangerous, or at least turn it on every week if you knew that thanks to having a fucking fleet carrier, every week you get a 10 million bonus, like with Power Play when you get a weekly bonus, right? It's
I agree with you. I do.
How much more incentive you would have to get that?
It
It'd be
should
such
provide
a
basic
positive thing,
income.
and I couldn't say anything negative about it, really, as long as it didn't have the fucking depreciation fucking simulator on the goddamn decommissioning, and of course the upkeep. Other than that, really, I could easily go and say, okay, put whatever prices you want. At least, you know, it's the end game goal. Fuck it. If you really have people that have that much cash and they want to grind, fine, this is inviting grind, but at least, you know, it's not mentally abusive once you get it.
So, this is a very general question. If they completely slashed or removed maintenance stuff altogether, would that be a satisfactory update?
People would say that now it's better, people would like it. But you know me. I look past the pure numbers. I try to look past, and I invite everyone also to look past the pure numbers and see what the designer is thinking. You know, okay, so how do we get people grinding? How do we get people returning to the game? We need to put a grind in the game. Okay, so that will extend their gameplay time without us making actually interesting gameplay. Okay, that's a cheap way to do it. Yeah, let's do it. Then, okay, weekly upkeep so that players have that mental image constantly to remember checking. And that mental thinking, you know, that thing is where I really draw the biggest disgust. It doesn't matter if it's just 1 credit or 1,000 or million or 10 million, what else, right? It's still designed with that thinking process. And when you think of a game, would you want your, you know, game developer, the person who made the gameplay, right, or at least had an idea on how to execute it, to be a vicious piece of shit that doesn't know how to do shit properly? Or would you like to have someone like, I don't know, CD Projekt Red, who actually puts in time and effort and makes sure that every side quest, at least, you know, not the minigame ones and what else, every side quest is unique and actually tells a little bit about a little story, even if it's not great. Sometimes maybe even parodying, like the one with the horse, you know, Roach, where he talks in the DLC. Like these little things, just every time I look at fleet carriers and of course power play as well, all I see is just the game designer or game director or whoever is in charge, the management essentially, just rubbing their testicles in my face. And I don't want that. I want a game designer that invites me to play the game with interesting rewards or potential interesting gameplay. That's the design philosophy that should be taken, rather than just hey, we need to extend as much as possible. We need to extract as much as possible out of our players, be that time, money, whatever other fucking things.
I mean, I guess the definition of that is all games extract time from you.
Not all games are designed to do that, obviously, back in the day. Well, clearly. Many were just designed to have fun.
I mean, the issue I get with this update is that, for one, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, it is a free update as well, which I'm not a...
That's not the way to think about these things, dude.
No, what I'm getting at is that, look,
okay,
I'd much rather pay for a paid update than them keep pumping out free ones.
I see what you mean there. Okay, yeah. Actually, you have a relatively similar thinking process than to what I have, because oftentimes when you have these quote-unquote free updates, it's really false. It really is false.
Yeah.
First of all, this is a Horizons, right?
Yeah,
Second
yeah,
of
that's what I
all,
wanted to
this
ask.
is well, they can afford to basically just go and say, well, we're bringing free updates, and that is marketing. That is part of the marketing, and that also allows them to basically put out whatever slop they want. Because let's be honest, let's say if you actually had to pay for this, I mean,
wouldn't.
broken markets even in beta, not tested gameplay in beta, what kind of business are you running, right? That exchange of money is inviting you to be quite a bit more critical with many folks, right? It's just every person just looks back and thinks, did they actually do enough for me to actually invest money into it? Or am I just content with just playing the game? And that's another way to sort of at least stop and think about these things. Because even when, actually every time I hear any developer really say, it's a free update or whatnot else, I think back of, what if I had to pay for it?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
is that enough to warrant me applauding it to be free, or is it just a marketing gimmick? And Frontier, on all of their properties, use this method of free update.
Yep.
So be very careful about that too. And
It's almost trying to squeeze the last bit of juice out of a lemon before we have to buy the orange.
Exactly. Speaking of a lemon, we have Has Mango.
Oh, that's a good analogy. I like that a lot, actually.
Poor Has. Yeah, it's...
you could be squeezing the mango.
And here
You forget
today we are
about it.
sitting here with shit ton of people watching. Holy fuck, I can't even believe it. Just that many are watching, so thank you. Yeah, it's just... I much rather have positive news and so on. It's just, but yeah, is this what the gaming industry has come to, right? Where games are literally preying on us, the consumer. Well, I don't like, just like Jim Sterling. I just don't like to use word consumer. Customer, right? Preying on customers with these methods, with these just rather not so pleasant or sometimes even malicious fucking designs. Just, of course, Elite is not the worst one. Obviously, it's not pay to win. It's not even, pay to side grid or something like that. I mean, it has microtransactions, as many games have, and these days a lot of people seem to accept it. Accept yours truly, it seems. But that's beside the point. It's just the general state of gaming is just so warped these days. It's and when something like CD Projekt Red comes along and it basically releases an amazing game for decent price, right? You applaud for it to be an amazing game. Then it releases free DLCs and everyone applauds it, and they release a paid expansion that is decently designed and actually is an expansion. Everyone applauds it. Frankly, I would rather see us as gamers, or just entertainment lovers accept just that as a norm, rather something that is applaudable. And the thing is, oftentimes also, I see in forums especially, right, when Frontier just mentions, it's a free update, or it's a free this and that, right? People just applaud for them mentioning free stuff, and
It's a free tagline. It's like a
it's
buzzword they can use.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a common thing. Well, I mean, we still have CD Projekt Red. We have, many other little companies that do wonderful things. As a surprise, Doom Eternal's gonna have some awesome things. Yes, so there are still good things out there. So it's not all lost, obviously, but. We shouldn't accept the status quo, or we shouldn't give them an inch, because, well, yeah. It's a surprise, honestly, that fucking, whatchamahazards, loot boxes are pushed back these days. That, yeah. Well, yeah, it's been 2 hours of stream and so on and so forth. So I guess I'll put it sort of a pin there. Those that don't know, again, returning to the stream's title, fleet carriers basically go in a forced decommissioning once you reach 300 million or exceed 300 million mark, boundary, or whatever you want to call it, in debt. So at most, if you load every single service on your ship, megaship, fleet carrier, right? Your weekly upkeep cost is 147 million, which means that you can stay away from the game without any, investment into fleet carrier prior to that, for 3 weeks. After that, they're gonna basically take it away the next week. So you got basically a month of vacation time. Then it's back to work. Your second job, your elite dangerous second job. Okay, you can say that, okay, well, without the upgrades and what else, well, you got 30 weeks. That's not even a year. That's not even a year in a best case scenario of you not playing the game. Of course, you can say that you can, if you have extra funds on your ship and blah, 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 or your account, you can put it on the mega ship, but that's not the point there, is it now? That they give you basically that buffer of just garbage, essentially, and that's another point for upkeep to just completely go. So all I can say is think critically, and try to see through the nonsense and all that stuff, and hopefully I helped you at least a little bit on that, or if you already knew, then fucking awesome. So yeah, I guess that'll be end of the stream, generally speaking. So yeah, later on I'll be joining on Exigeous things. I think Exigeous is going to be streaming in about an hour or so. He's going to be joined by Bruce, one of the second newest community manager, the Gambit, on his stream for, I don't know, some Q&As or something like that. So we'll see what he has up his sleeve. So if you want to watch that, you can watch that. Big thanks for Hasmango for coming along, and he also makes videos, by the way. So if you want to take a look at his PvP stuff, there are some interesting ones too. So there you go. Yeah. Besides of that, I guess big thanks to everyone who joined and already hand left or still are here. Company is always nice.
Not a problem, Yamiks. Always happy to come on.
Indeed. And that exploding fighter was awesome. Oh, dude. I was expecting a poop there. Okay, good. Everything's good. Thank you, Has. Seriously appreciate it.
Right.
So yeah, anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the stream and all that stuff, of course, I do suggest you subscribe on the YouTube and follow on the Twitch if you want to. Check the Twitter from time to time. That's where I do my biggest shit posting and wonderful things. It's always fun to... Aww. There we go, we got the squeak there, finally. And, yeah, all I can say is slowly, surely getting to 100. Well, there's still 25,000 to get through subscriber-wise on the YouTube, but we'll get to that when in time, right? And yeah, well, fleet carriers are pretty poor, and not even as end. It's if I were to put fleet carriers in one simple sentence, it's an end game goal. It's a end game trophy that you need to rent. Like the game's ending is on rent. I mean, what more do you need in a quote? So there you go, folks. That's about it for now. I'll see you probably... Oh yeah, tomorrow for the Space Waste news. I'll probably... I don't know if you can get the pilot to bitch about these things as well. We're gonna go probably over general things about the fleet carriers in a quick succession in about an hour or so. So yeah, the weekly sort of news thing that I do, I try to keep it up. So yeah, that aside, well, take care and stay safe, and well, for now, let's see what the weekend has to bring, and next week, hopefully some decent changes and alteration in the game. Fuck me. That was the intro. Well.